Today on Community Watch, I'm talking with artist Jeremy Smith. If you don't know Jeremy, you need to know Jeremy and his work. You probably have seen some of it and didn't realize it was his, but remarkable artist, graduate of Georgia Highlands College. Community Watch starts now. Welcome to Community Watch. I am beyond thrilled to have with me today Jeremy Smith, outsider artist.
Thank you, thank you.
And while we're going to be talking about art, I think the subtext of this show is really courage. We're going to talk about that, I think, because you made some courageous choices, I think. I mean, watching from my vantage point.
It was just a hairstyle, Professor. Wasn't that
For those of you who may not know Jeremy, Georgia Highlands graduate who is now an artist beyond description, really. And, you know, just when I think I understand what you are doing, you start a new thing. So you got to be alert to keep up with you. So we're going to talk about all of those things. I do want to introduce the female guest who is with us here.
okay. Cool. I didn't know if we was having a surprise. I didn't know if this was turning into a very Jerry Springer episode.
No.
I didn't. Cool. Yeah. This is. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. I do want to talk about the full scope of the work you do, but we need to talk about the angel at the cemetery, Myrtle Hill Cemetery. What's the history? I mean, this is part of the early stage of that project, correct? So tell me a little bit about how that happened.
All right. So downtown Rome, they had a big tree in Myrtle Hill Cemetery that was dropping limbs, and it needed to be cut down. But it was in such a precarious place in a historical landmark site that taking the tree down safely and effectively would have been super duper expensive. So a guy named Jody Gonzalez that works with the city had a really, really good idea of, hey, maybe we can get one of those guys that carve stuff to come in and carve this tree into something. And when I went to talk to him about it, asked them, you know, hey, have y'all got any ideas of what you would like this tree to be? And Jody had the idea, I think it should be an angel. And, you know, that was just a perfect concept. And so I sent them a few drawings, and the one that they liked was for this particular design. And I'm sure you'll be displaying it on your screen now. But the angel at Myrtle Hill Cemetery is, for the record, for the moment, like the best thing I've ever done. It is the highlight of my art career and life so far. It's the very I put it on T-shirts. Is how proud I am.
Well, it is. I mean, Myrtle Hill Cemetery, on its own, deserves several visits. I mean, you can't get the scope of it on a single trip, but just to see the angel, which is magnificent. It's magnificent.
Thank you.
How large is that?
Oh, it's about 15 feet tall, I think.
It's big.
She's not a tiny thing. It is massive.
And this was the...
What this is all right, so when they first told me, oh, hey, yeah, we're going to get you to carve that tree for us, I knew that this particular tree in this particular part of Rome, if I screwed it up ever, I would have to move. And I didn't feel like moving. So I got to work planning. I wanted to make sure everything that could go wrong would go wrong in the planning stages. And so I actually carved a model, a tiny one, that got auctioned off at by the Myrtle Hill people. And this was the second iteration of the angel. Like basically, this is the second time I had carved the angel at the cemetery. And I was basically, the first one, the hands were kind of out like it is in the original drawing, but that created weak points. So I decided to incorporate the hands with the flowing shawl thingy.
Yeah.
So.
Because I'm assuming going into this kind of project with a tree, you don't, once you start, you don't really know the shape of the wood. I mean, you don't know the condition of the wood that you're dealing with. You don't know how strong it is, or, I mean, there's a lot of mystery going into this.
There really is, and unless you find some way of looking inside a tree, every tree holds its. What I tell people is like, yeah, we can make our plans to carve your tree up into whatever you want, but that tree has had a longer time to make its plan, and we don't know what it is all the time. And there's certain times, like in the fairy that I sent you. It's made out of cedar log, and cedar has little pockets of rot in it here and there in very random places. So the design on that had to change. She was going to be looking right, now she's looking left. I don't know, it makes her look a little more sassy if you ask me, but I mean, plans change.
So you're kind of prepared for that going in.
I refer to it like chainsaw carving a tree stump is more like surfing than planning something. Because you're just kind of riding the wave. You're on top of the surfboard, but you're not necessarily in charge of the currents, if that makes any sense.
All right, so chainsaw art is that's not where you started.
No.
In terms of art.
No, I have the dinkiest art origin story ever.
Well, we got to hear it.
We got to hear it, and I tell it at fairs and festivals thousands of times. This is going to sound very slick, all right?
Okay.
So people ask me how I got into making art, and the answer is it's my wife's fault. She asked me to carve a pumpkin for her pre-K class back in October of 2012, and that led to all this. Basically, I sat there and she didn't ask me because I'd taken any art classes at Highlands or anywhere. I'd only had a half a semester in 8th grade of art ever. That's the only art education I'd ever had. She just asked me that because they put a lot on teachers. They make teachers do a lot of stuff. It was one last task for her.
Right.
So I Googled pumpkin carving, and it had come in a long way since the triangle eyes and the gap-toothed grins that we grew up with. When we grew up, carving a pumpkin, it'll take about 10 minutes, we'll be done. But, yeah, I'm sure at this point you'll be showing some of the pumpkins I've carved on the screen, and it's changed quite a bit. So I'd sit there and Google pumpkin carving, and I'd watch this show on Food Network called Halloween Wars. And it made pumpkin carving look really cool. They had professional pumpkin carvers, which I didn't know that was a thing, teamed up with cake artists and sugar artists. They make elaborate Halloween-themed food art displays. And I would sit there and I would carve pumpkins because after the first one, I was, hey, let's try a few of these and just dream of being on this show. And by November of 2015, Food Network was flying me out to LA to film season 6 of Halloween Wars.
And a lot of us followed that adventure. Although I know it was a challenging experience for you, it has led some places for you. I mean, I don't know if you still do pumpkins, but you went from that experience to doing art of many different kinds.
Oh, yes. Like basically what had happened is after pumpkin season was over, there's no more pumpkins to carve, and I have these little clay sculpting pumpkin tools. So I looked around for whatever I could carve. Candles. At the sushi restaurant I worked with, we used to get these giant mutated looking carrots that were huge things. I'd carve Buddhas out of them and dragons and whatever. And just whatever I can get my hands on. But eventually I got tired of everything that I carved and spent time with, just eventually turned it into mush. So I bought a $60 Dremel, and I got a piece of firewood from my neighbor's firewood pile down the street, and spent 4 months dremeling on this piece of wood. It was my first wood carving, and I sold it for $1,000. And this was a new thing for me. I was waiting tables at a sushi restaurant. I was not used to getting paychecks for $1,000. And instead of buying some fly rims for my Toyota Corolla or going on a nice weekend getaway, I did something really dumb, and I bought my first chainsaw and carving bar and safety equipment. And I say it was really dumb because objectively it was pretty stupid. I'd never used a chainsaw in my life until I bought one to carve with. Not sure I would recommend this path to anybody else. But, you know, I picked it up and started carving some things, and basically I don't wait tables at a sushi restaurant anymore. I make art, and it's amazing.
You know, in my understanding of art, I wouldn't automatically think, oh, a chainsaw, that's the perfect art instrument. How is it I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of your work at this point, and the detail is really staggering to me. How do you do this with a chainsaw? I mean, it's crazy to me.
Well, the saws remove about 98 to 99% of the wood from a log when you're doing the carving. But there's other tools. There's sanders, grinders. The original Dremel is the last step to put, you know, final tiny details on something usually. But you know, basically, the smaller the detail, the smaller the tool you got to use, and you just use different tools.
So the chainsaw is really the first step.
Yes.
And then you get close to what you are after, and you begin to use the other tools.
Yes.
So the art that you're creating now in wood, are those by the job in advance, or you do your own things to sell, or both of that?
All kinds of things. Like I make some things just to make them. Most of what I do is commission based. You know, someone says, "Hey, I want this. I need this." You know, Myrtle Hills situation. We've got this particular tree in this particular spot. We want this particular thing. And then sometimes, like, hey, I've got this tree. You can do whatever you want with it. And then, you know, if I've got to get ready for the LJ Apple Festival, let's make a bunch of bears. You know, it just depends on what the situation is.
So you sold bears in LJ? Oh
God, yes. They love. That should be called the LJ Bear Festival instead of the LJ Apple Festival.
So you.
They love some bears up there. They really do.
So you just filled your truck full of bears. So how long did it take you to prepare for that? I mean, how long did these bears take?
Different amounts of time.
Yeah.
Like the more you do, like it's like any kind of factory setting. You know, you can set things up to handle economies of scale. That is a term I learned at Highlands. And yeah, you just do, like, production work is different than commission work.
Yeah. Well, I know we're coming up on a break here in a minute. After the break, though, we're going to talk about some of the other areas that you've gone into besides chainsaw work.
All right.
Because it's pretty remarkable, and it's not, at least the way I see it, it's not an obvious next step. You know, you've been doing chainsaw. Oh, the next thing is.
Oh yeah, after the next set, we're going to take a leap. We're going to dive into the deep end of the pool.
Okay.
It's going to get squishy.
We're talking with Jeremy Smith, artist extraordinaire. We're going to talk a lot more with him after this break, so don't go away.
Access to me means I get to explore and define myself.
Access? That allows me to follow my passion.
For me, it means I get to do what I've always dreamed of doing, helping people.
Access to me means I'm the first one in my family to come to college. Sé el primero.
Welcome back to Community Watch. I'm having a conversation with artist Jeremy Smith. We've been talking about your chainsaw work with wood, but you've done some work, pretty remarkable work without a chainsaw.
Oh yeah.
So what was next, and what made you try new things after that? I mean,
Well, this is a unfortunately kind of typical story, Genesis-wise. The pandemic, the shutdown, caused a lot of changes, and I figured I'd probably take a big hit to chainsaw carving income when there's no festivals to sell at. So I borrowed a buddy of mine's pressure washer to clean off my driveway one day, and artists are really we're children, right? Everything is a toy. A chainsaw is a toy. A pressure washer is a toy. These are things that can take your foot off, right? Nah, all right. So I started drawing in my driveway and doing some more things and drawing in some other people's driveways. And eventually I figured, well, if I'm going to start charging people to draw in their driveways, I need to learn how to draw. Because for some reason, 2 dimensions was always my mountain that I couldn't climb. I was decent in 3 dimensions, obviously. I had talent and skill with 3 dimensions, but 2, again, I never had any training, so I didn't know what I was doing. It was always a bit of a mystery. So I trained myself how to draw with chalk, which, white chalk on a black sheet of paper would be like the closest thing to drawing with a pressure washer. And eventually I got to the point where I could do photorealistic portraits of people. And so now a new skill unlocked, I can draw 2 dimensions. So I took that in some places. Eventually I kind of stopped doing pressure washing jobs just because it's a lot of work, and it's just, I don't know, didn't quite work out math-wise, but it was cool to do it. I'm glad I did it because it taught me some new skills. Yeah. And some of the uses of those skills of portraits, I've drawn portraits, and this is a new thing. This is the newest thing that I've been doing lately, and it's weird. I saw this British dude on TikTok doing this, and children, we got to play. So they make snow spray art. Snow spray is the stuff that flocking spray is what they call it, which I love that word, but we're not going to get into that. I don't want to use it too much for fear of messing it up. Right. But the snow spray, you spray it on your Christmas tree, and it makes you look like you had snow. But you're not fooling anybody, Professor Hershey. You live in Rome, Georgia. It's not snowing. But you can apparently spray this stuff and spread it around, move it around, spray some more, do some other stuff, brush it off, and turn it into fantastic works of art. And so I've been doing that, and I'm one of very, very, very few artists in North America that even mess with the stuff. So that's kind of cool to be a pioneer in a way. I've also recently, this is a bit of a depressing topic, but I'm going to do it anyway. All right, okay. So after Uvalde, the school shooting massacre, it kind of broke me in a lot of ways, and it sent me to thinking about what could be done, what could be said, whatever. And eventually, for some reason, I got it in my head to do a animated short that addresses the absurdity of what a school shooting would look like in Revolutionary War times, and the absurdity of the way red flag laws are treated these days. And gotten it into, I think, 4 film festivals so far, even won an award in one of them.
Animation.
Yes. Pumpkins, chainsaw animation.
I'm trying to draw this line, but there's not a line.
It's more like a
there's an art line, but there's not a because I've seen your pressure washing work, or at least what you shared of it. It's remarkable. I mean, it was just remarkable what you were able to do with a pressure washer on a driveway. I mean, it was like flat murals. I mean, it was...
yeah. In fact, actually, the largest piece of work I've ever done was with pressure washing. It's a 7,200 square foot driveway mural.
It was just remarkable, and I've seen some of your snow work as well on the window of
Cecil T's Mercantile.
Cecil T's.
By the way, if
on
you go to
Broad Street.
Downtown Rome, Georgia on Facebook's page, you can vote for Cecil T's snow spray display. They're having a window dressing contest, and honestly, we really need your votes.
Well, great. I mean, and you will want, once you see it, you will want to vote for
Exactly.
it. Because it's remarkable. And there is a fineness of detail there. It just, the movement from chainsaw to pressure washing. And I understand what you're saying about enjoying using playing with the tools. But the results are pretty great.
Thank you.
What I was thinking, though, was with the pressure washing art, it's temporary. It's not going to be there forever. Or
No, and if you try, another reason I stopped doing it is because if you try to preserve it with whatever concrete sealer, it turns it into a skating rink, which is not safe. So,
right.
oh well.
So it's kind of, it was like ice sculpture. It's beautiful for the time,
Ephemeral.
but ephemeral, which is kind of sad because it was remarkable. Although I guess you save it through photographing it, but I can see why, both for yourself as an artist and for the owner of the driveway, the masterpiece goes away after a time.
Yeah.
And I guess the same is true with your snow art.
Well, I mean, you would think, like the one I did of the old mill at Barry, it was about the 4th or 5th one I did on my French doors at home, and I liked it so much that I left it there. Like, I basically, the snow spray stuff, I just started it 2 months, like I did 2 months with it like last year. That's all I've done with it, except for a couple this year. And I left it on my door. It's still there. Basically, it will stay there until you remove it.
Really?
But it is really easy to remove it. So.
And have all of those been on glass?
Well, yes, but in order to do mobile displays of snow spray art, I got a mobile canvas unit, which is a big glass frame, and I blacked it out on one end and basically made it a mobile window that I could do snow spray art anywhere.
That's great. That's great. And now film. Is this something you're going to pursue more of now that you've done one?
Oh yeah. So these days, it's really good if you're a good artist, but it's not good enough. Like, you have to take pictures of it, and not only that, you have to take good pictures of it, and not only that, you have to take film of it. So basically, I had to learn a whole other set of skills just to get my work out there. And yeah, I've started making short films. I did a short with Pumpkins back in 2019, and that got into the Rome International Film Festival, and then did the animated one, and that's coming out. I've started writing. When I was at this other film festival, I got this idea to write a feature-length comedy script about film festivals. So
you're reinventing yourself constantly.
Constantly, yes.
Yeah. So the thing I was getting at with Courage is you took a leap of faith to pursue this art, and it keeps changing, but you're pursuing it in all of these different directions. And I know when you select a career to, with the goal of supporting yourself and a family, art is not usually on the list of options. I mean, I don't think we have some wonderful art students who are going to be great artists and teachers, and they're working hard on that. But I think what you have shown is that if you have the right passion and interest and curiosity about what you're doing and can enjoy yourself, go for it. I mean, that's the message that I see watching you, because of course we don't see all the angst that you go through with things that aren't working quite right. And I'm sure there's a little angst in there.
You don't hear all the curse words.
But
Saws cover those
just
up.
watching you from sort of a distance, you are really taking your life into a direction that a lot of people don't have the courage to do, but would probably love to do.
Well, how candid do you want this conversation to get?
Well, I don't know. I think Brian can bleep out whatever, but
Okay, well, you're talking about courage and changing my life and stuff. So 2012 was a really, really important year for me. You know, it's when I started carving. I found a passion for something. But that was in October. And around May, I was a different person. I had spent the past 12 years or so battling a life-threatening addiction to opiates. Like, I'm not sure if you knew that, or it's not a thing I ever bragged about. It's not even a thing I ever talked about until my brother's death. He died from alcohol, basically, and that's when I knew I didn't need to be silent about it anymore. But basically, 2012, yeah, the art, it was a vocation, it was a hobby, and it was therapy. And so, you say courage. It wasn't really so much courage as like, I didn't think I was going to have a lot of time after I had, you know, gotten rid of that problem.
Yeah.
Like, I had a lot of health issues that you don't feel healthy after that. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to die. So I felt like I was in a race with time to get as much out as I could. And courage, sure, I guess. Well, not everybody gets to escape that trap. But it was also finality and, you know, what else am I going to do?
well, you seem now to be in a better place.
Oh, yeah.
And art seems to be a passion now. I mean, I don't know if it started that way, but it seems to be that way now.
Oh, it's more than a passion. It's not what you do. It's who you are.
Yeah.
Like it's easy for different avenues of art to lead to other avenues of art because I'm constantly thinking about art and different things. And also, people were just constantly bringing me new art. Hey, man, can you animate this poem I sent you? Hey, I need help with this music video. Okay. Somebody brought me a turtle shell by my house the other day. I need this painted in a Native American form. And it's one of my better, I love this guy. I'll do whatever. But it was just so odd and random. And I've never painted a turtle shell before, but we're going to go to town on this thing.
We are almost out of time, Jeremy. I know you have a website or a way that people can keep up with what you're doing. How do they get there?
Honestly, most of the time, just hit me up on Facebook.
Facebook.
I hate saying it, but you know, that's
Under
Jeremy Smith, Other Level Studios.
Okay. Thank
That's
you
all
so
me.
much.
Thank you for having me.
No, thrilled to have you on the show.
I hope it was some good juicy TV.
Excellent TV. And I want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Community Watch.